Welcome back. You're listening to the Flow Sports Hour on Flow FM. If you're like me and you like the idea of a nice day out on the golf course, but you're somewhat lacking the skill set required for golf, disc golf might just be the sport for you. I've got Ryan Nicholson, the South Australian rep for Australian Disc Golf, on the line with me right now. How are you, Ryan? Thanks for joining me on the show.
No, thanks for having me, Dan.
Let's start with the obvious question. For those unfamiliar with disc golf, what is it in a nutshell?
Yeah, so it's very much like traditional golf as far as scoring and rules are concerned. But instead of hitting balls with clubs, you're throwing frisbee-like discs towards what we call chained baskets, which the aim is to get one of your discs in the basket in the least amount of throws. So, like I said, similar rules to golf, but just a different way of going about it.
Very simple, really, and I find it quite interesting that golf is a very popular worldwide sport. It's on the international radar. The best players in the world are making millions. But disc golf, it really is almost the exact same game, just with, I suppose, maybe a slightly easier skill set in throwing a frisbee compared to hitting that tiny little golf ball. But I'm sure you would know best. It's probably not an easy game, is it?
Actually, it is a very easy game to pick up and learn. It's a lot more technical than people first think, but it's a sport that you can improve at very quickly. Which I found personally I struggled with ball golf, trying to be a ball golfer myself. And then when discovering disc golf, I found it a lot easier to improve up the skill level. And it's interesting to note, talking about, the millions of dollars for pro players at international levels, but disc golf is actually also starting to see that at an international level with professionals, highly paid professionals receiving multi-million-dollar sponsorships, and that especially in the US.
Very interesting. I did want to ask you about the professional side of the game, but before I ask you about that, there's something you said that really caught my ear there. You said bowl golf. Is that what you call sort of regular golf in the disc golf community?
Yeah, we kind of have to. We kind of have to differentiate the two when we're talking about. We either call it ball golf or traditional golf. Yeah,
right.
To avoid confusion.
It's a bit like the Americans calling their gridiron just football, while the rest of the world are calling, what we call here in Australia soccer. The rest of the world are calling that football. We're calling it soccer. America are calling their sport football. But yes, obviously different everywhere you go. So there you go. Just called golf to the disc golf community, and regular golf to the rest of us is known to you as bowl golf. So a few differences in the terminology there. But let's talk about those getting these massive sponsorship deals and contracts. So for those players who are at the top level of this sport, there is actually a lot of money on the line, and they're really playing in some top-level tournaments.
Yes, there's especially in the US and in Europe, there's a professional disc golf tour and national tour events. And there's professionals that travel all around the world, making tens of thousands of dollars, competing at major events all over the world. And Australia's a little catching up. It's got a bit of catching up to do, but we're certainly heading in that direction and looking to position ourselves where we can start seeing those kind of events here in Australia.
Well, let's talk about how Australia are catching up to the rest of the world. What exactly are we doing here in Australia to make up that ground? How fast is the sport growing? And how many participants roughly do we have? I'm not sure if you've got an exact figure, but just give us an idea of how big the sport is in Australia and how much it's growing.
Yes, well, I came into the sport in the start of 2016, and back then there was only about 25 courses in Australia at the time, and there's now easily over 100 courses. The playing numbers back then, there were only probably a few hundred people playing in Australia, and there's now thousands. It's really snowballing, and it's probably got a lot to do with the sport being it's very, very affordable to get into. It's very easy to learn, and anyone and everyone can play it, young, old, any skill level. It's a really easy sport to get into and very affordable.
Well, it's good to hear that it's growing well on a national scale, and that there's been a lot more courses and participants popping up around Australia. And like you said, it's easy to get into. Just tell us a bit about how sort of easy the game is on the body, because obviously there's sports out there like footy, the most popular game in our country, which is not for everyone because some people don't want to risk breaking a leg and not being able to work, or getting too many concussions. But I suppose disc golf, you're not really too worried about a lot of those things.
Yeah, not to that. No, definitely not to those extremes. There's always an element of injury, injury in any physical activity. But with disc golf, it's very much a low impact sport. So it's if you can throw a frisbee and walk through a park, you're pretty much ready to go without having to worry about anything too serious happening other than maybe a bit of a sore shoulder.
Well, I must say I'm getting to that age where a sport like disc golf is probably suiting me a bit better than the other sports I'm trying to play, leaving me a bit sore the next day. But then again, I'm sure disc golf would do a number on my shoulders anyway, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. Do we have any state championships, national championships, any big tournaments like that here in Australia?
Absolutely, yes. There's a national tour which concludes with the Australian Disc Golf Championships, which is scheduled for this November in Hobart. And outside of that, the national tour also has a major in each state. Here in South Australia, Mount Gambier hosts the South Australian Major this year, which is actually happening next weekend, and I'm one of the key organisers for. So it's all action getting organised for that. We've got 180 participants playing in that event this upcoming weekend, and we're really excited for that. And outside of that, there's just tour events all over regional centres and in the cities, including little centres like in Tintinara, Adelaide, and Beachport, all those places all over.
Very good. So there's some really exciting things coming up in the disc golf community. And let's talk about the Tintinara disc golf course. Now, the club there at Tintinara, is it similar to a golf club and you get members that sign up and sort of come and play whenever you want? Or is it a bit more casual than that sort of anyone can just rock up and pay a small fee and play? Or is there no fee? How does it all work for the casual players?
Yeah, well, that's another massive bonus for the sport of disc golf is the majority of courses in Australia, including the one at Tintinara, are free to play. You can go to the Heart of the Park, I believe it's called, in Tintinara there, and they can hire out or sell discs from there, and you're on the course and you're playing. And there's no charge. You can play whenever you like. The course is just sitting there ready to go, and that's the same with a lot of courses where it's just that accessible and so affordable. And there are clubs like there's a club in Mount Gambier and a club in South Australia which run regular league competitions and social competitions with offering memberships, but it's still very affordable and accessible.
Certainly a big draw card for the sport, especially with the cost of living crunch. People are definitely looking for hobbies that won't break the bank, so this is a really good option. Now, I want to ask about the culture of the game. Obviously, in ball golf, out on the course, it's very serious. You wear a collared shirt, you wear nice clothes, you don't want to distract anyone when they're taking their shot. Is disc golf quite similar, or is there any more sort of a fun and party element to it, like we see in something else in the bowl golf world, in live golf?
Yeah. So we've got both extremes of that. There's definitely that social level at if you're playing in just a local club or in a local league. They're very social kind of things. But at the top end for the high tier events, like I said, like the Australian Championships and the major tournaments, they're a little bit more serious. There's a bit of a dress code and etiquette to follow during play. Absolutely, not quite as stringent as what you'd get with ball golf, but at that level, it's still taken pretty seriously, pretty competitive.
All right, good to hear you getting the best of both worlds here in the disc golf community. That's really, really great to hear that. Now, are there any local legends that we should be aware of that are sort of dominating on the state or on the national circuit?
Yeah, for sure. Here in South Australia, we've got a girl by the name of Sarah Lee. She's now pretty much one of Australia's top-rated female players, and she's really taking her game to an extremely high level, and has been dominating at the majority of events that she plays in this year. And we've at a national level, we've got some pretty handy pros that venture over through Europe and into the States that compete against the international fields over there as well. So there's definitely some pretty handy players in Australia.
All right, very good. Well, Ryan, it's been a pleasure learning about this sport, and it's good to hear the way it is growing. Just before I let you go, is there anywhere you'd direct people to go if they want to get involved or if they just want to learn more about the sport?
Absolutely. They can go to the Australian Disc Golf website, and a lot of information and details there, and there's countless amounts of disc golf content on YouTube. If you just Google disc golf, you'll find plenty of information and videos with that.
All right. Well, Ryan, like I said, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure learning about this sport, and I hope to get out and make my debut soon because you've certainly turned me around. This sounds like a lot of fun, and I would love to get involved myself. Please keep us updated if there's any more disc golf news. We'd love to have you back on the show sometime. But yeah, thank you very much for your time today.
No worries. Thank you.